And folks, don't worry if you didn't get your questions asked on IEPs. We're actually coming back to IEPs next week with Bridget. Wanted to say that before I forget. Now, Dennis, should I automatically leave a public situation if people leave when they see us or make nasty comments?
I would say I never like to tell people, what they should or shouldn't do, but I think just leaving right away probably isn't the best thing. Of course, depending on the severity and what happens, but I look at it as the example I'm setting. The other day I was frustrated and I was mad about kids not doing work, and I kind of stormed off and went on a walk by myself. And 20 yards into the walk, I said, what am I doing? My daughter just saw me deal with a frustrating situation by bolting. So I turned around and came back and talked it out with her. So I'm cautious of the example that we're setting for our kids. If now I would never tell somebody, as the parent, best. How you can react to things. You could also know what could set your child off. Maybe your child saw something or heard something, or for whatever reason is now in a headspace where it's going to take them a while to get out of. Maybe
it could also be something as simple as it takes them longer to white up.
Right. Oh, right. Definitely. And I'm sure, and I've been fortunate, to not have, I haven't really experienced that. So I can imagine, it must be difficult when eyes are on you and people are making comments. But I think, the thing I will say is that you have every right to be in that space as the person who is pretty much a jerk and inconsiderate. So to leave, I think there's no reason that you can't, if anything, I think that person should leave, but that would never, that's not going to happen. But if the situation calls for it, I wouldn't feel bad about seeking an employee's help or a manager. And again, this is all hypothetical. I don't know what the situation is, but maybe rather than leave, you can try to find somebody who can help you, whether an employee or a manager. I find that these businesses who are in the money-making business would probably want to have, give you a positive experience and not have you storm out and then tell 5 people, well, geez, that place is the worst. I'm never bringing my kid back there. So I think there are other options than just leaving, but that might be an option, given the situation, if a parent thinks is best.
Now, I have one more question for you, and then we're going to jump to the questions in the group chat. My last question for you is, should we talk to places to work on things like making them easier for special needs families? More sensory friendly, more... look, I want people to look at the fact that we use wheelchair accessible washrooms because I have to have her with me.
Right.
So should we advocate to places about making their businesses more friendly?
I think absolutely. And again, like we talked about communication in school amongst teachers, that applies outside the home too. That can apply to places that you frequent, businesses. You can reach out if maybe it's some place you've never been before. You can reach out and call and ask what types of resources or accommodations they have for students, that fit your child's profile. Also, I wouldn't be afraid to reach out after visiting a place. If you have gone there and, like I said, these places are in the business of making money. If you, present them, hey, this was my experience there, and I was just wanted you to see it from my point of view, and this is what my child needed, and he's certainly not, or she is certainly not the only one, with this disability. So I think just an open dialogue. I think it's hard for places to change. I always like to think that places that aren't as, accommodating, that doesn't come from a place of malice. It's just maybe they don't know, or maybe they haven't been exposed. So I think having that conversation and even letting them know what you saw, or how your experience could have been better, I think those things are helpful. And one of the things I had seen, there's a gigantic place near my house. It's a trampoline, amusement. It's just 4 floors of madness. It's utter insanity. It's loud and there's lights. And so I saw the sign, and the sign says, hey, every Sundays was sensory night. And I said, oh, geez, that's a good thing. And, I'm thinking, and then I had a conversation with somebody, and they said, well, what if that family can't go on Sunday? The family with a child who needs those types of things. I said, wow, I never really thought of that. That's a good point. So something like that, you could call this facility and say, hey, we love your venue. We love your whatever it is. We can't make it on the night that you've designated for sensory night. What types of things do you do at that night that could carry over into every other night? Because I think the goal is for not to have just the sensory kids go on Sundays from 3 to 8. They need to be given the chance to go, at the same time of everybody else. So I think talking and having an open dialogue, not like complaining to a place. It's all, there's a way of going about it, not coming in guns blazing, but just having a conversation with the manager. I've worked at places where I know for a fact that managers would want to hear those types of things from customers. So I think, yes, reaching out and having conversations is definitely a good thing.
Okay, I have some questions from our comment section.
Oh.
Jessica says, I try my best to get my son to be more independent with life skills at a time. Right now, he knows how to get his own drink, clean up, make his bed, get dressed himself, and we are always on top of his routine the best way we can. He hasn't always been easy, but he is doing great now that he is getting older. Still has his off days a lot, especially with all this going on. And we're going to have our off days, and we're going to see more meltdowns. We're going to see more bad days.
I think that's inevitable because we're just seeing more of our kids than any time. You think of how much time they spend at school during the week. It's as much or more than they spend with us, depending on how we are with work and when we're home. So I think you are going to see more meltdowns. You're going to see more parent meltdowns. I have had a meltdown or two of my own. The key is just that my wife and I alternate meltdowns. If we're both not melting down at the same time, it's okay if there's somebody in a good, clear frame of mind.
As long as one person's the designated sane.
Exactly. Yeah, the designated sane person. Yeah, that you just invented a new term.
Hey, in this day and time.
Yeah, I think I think these times necessitate, invention but yeah, you are going to see bad days and you're going to see good days, and I'm sure it's just going to seem overwhelming. But use therapists, and I know schools right now it's a tough spot, but if you have community resources, groups. I know in Massachusetts there's different groups, but again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just don't feel like it's you alone. There's a million people in the same situation. So reach out to groups and community therapists. I think having good dialogue with the therapist is key during this time too, especially, because kids are dealing in an unprecedented situation.
Right. Angela White says it's an opportunity to educate. Angela's huge into educating when her child's needs are not met, what they are, and how to give them. Ingrid says a legally blind friend went to a pharmacy and could not see the clear plastic bags.
I know Ingrid. She is one of the people I work with, and she is, we're part of the crew of Bridget and myself. So
But Ingrid, I think you're correct. I think there should be, in her situation, some way to give her a darker bag or a cloth bag that she could see.
Right. And and like I said, I don't think the store was trying to exclude anybody. They just didn't know. There was actually a few years ago, there was a Monday Night Football game where they did these crazy color uniforms. And I believe they were green and red entirely. Yes. And the people and the colorblind they said they had a real problem, and there was all sorts of talk the next day, and the networks were like, oh geez, we didn't even think of that. it's a really good point. So again, I think a lot of these things are just people not having come across that situation.
Riley, Julie, please stop sharing the video all over the place. I'm getting notifications that you are. Jason brings up a good point that we've been discussing between ourselves lately. Sensory friendly versus sensory inclusive.
And and that's something that was actually brought to my attention, with Jason, when I was talking, was looking at culture, the Culture City sensory inclusive programs, and I think that's, that's, I think, the goal, clearly the goal, to have this be an inclusive, much like inclusion in the classroom it's just become what is, but 20 years ago.
And I refer to it as friendly is, let's just talk about it and see what happens. Where inclusive is they put everything they can into it to make it an environment for everyone.
Oh, I think that's a great answer. Definitely. Right on the money.
Jessica says, I so agree. Certain public places should be open to all needs, but also it's hard with this subject too. Not all places are special needs friendly, but we can also call before and after. And that's a very good point, guys. Call them, talk to these places, explain what worked and what didn't work. And, they won't know how to tweak their sensory friendly or sensory inclusive events if we, the parents, don't tell them, hey, your life didn't work right.
Right. And the parents are the experts. I mean, the people who are running these facilities again, I'm sure they don't have as much experience or just exposure to what challenges. And again, these businesses, I would assume they want your money. So I think having conversations with them, I think they would be open to it, because now there's a whole new, market of people who can come and spend a bunch of money on fun games and stuff for make their kids crazy.
I want to get into, Angela uses an app that I've never heard of, Be My Eye.